This is Nattering with E with your host, Eric Friedlander.
Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
What up, world? It's your boy E coming at you from the Nattering with E studios. Voice is a little raw today as last night, Saturday, August 17th, I was at Destiny Wrestling's Summer Heat, the biggest show of the year. Trent Seven took on Steve Macklin in a crazy steel cage match. Fighter Flight, Von Vertigo, and Gabriel Fuerza took on Sinner and Saint, Judas Icarus and Travis Williams in a bonkers tag team match. And the Wild Child, Jody Threat, fought Ash by Elegance in a pretty good women's match, I have to say. The other women's match, Tiffany Nieves versus Zoe Sky, was a last-minute audible, and I think it was their first time working together. That's not to say it was bad, but it's not to say it was a Dave Meltzer 5-star classic. Anyways, enough about yesterday. Today, Sunday, the 18th. Oh yeah, this will go up tomorrow, the 19th. But anyways, today I'm with Derry, New Hampshire's own Scissor Fight. No, I'm just kidding. I'm with Derry, New Hampshire's own Will Mercier from the ROH Revelry pod. Tom's better half, many people would say, in the podcasting world. And the guy who, besides Bauerhausen, has got me into, I'd say, 175% of the music that I'm into, and comics and many other things. And we've only known each other a couple of years. So, Will, after that world's longest introduction, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right. It sounds like that was a hell of a show.
It was friggin' bonkers, man.
I mean, Trent Severin and Macklin in a cage. I mean, that's your marquee match right there. I mean, you had plenty of other great talent. That's why I wish I got shows like that. I mean, I don't want to say it because I know you're in an area where maybe you don't have quite as much coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Like the indie wrestling scene, that's like kind of like we have Beyond, and like Beyond is obviously the big one. They just they're a little outside of the distance that where it's like, oh, I can just like pop over. Like, oh, I've got nothing to do. I'll just pop over because it's like an hour and a half drive. Parking being the big goddamn, where am I putting the car?
Yeah.
But because I know Mike Peterson goes
Yes.
to a lot of Beyond.
Yeah.
I've been to a Beyond show and it was very good. You can usually find me at Chaotic if they're running out of Lowell. So they got a show coming up in September, hopefully. It's tough because they just started a new position. So I sent an email with like a handful of dates where I'm like, if this is possible to work into the schedule, then I'm not here potentially.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a doctor's appointment I already had, but I can move it. This is something like I want to do, something the wife wants to do. Like,
yeah, exactly. You're just
so I'm trying not to be too pushy with the, hey, here's all this time off, but.
And you're like, I can't do nights on Wednesdays because me and Tom we sort of got a pod that's like the best pod on a couple networks. So
I mean, we're hammering out the schedule for that now because like this coming week I'm off Wednesday, so we're still going to record on Wednesday. Next week we're hemming and hawing about maybe trying a morning recording session because it just gets to be one of those things where it's like I'll get home around 10:30, 11 o'clock or so, depending on how long it takes me to do stuff at the store. And then I do have, the wife who might want to see me for a little bit before she calls it a night.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, even some nights, they'll get to be late, even though Tom's an hour behind me. Benefit would be I don't have to be to work until 1 p.m. again the next day. So should that arise, it's like, oh, well, if we have a late night.
So
I still, it's not like I've got to like jump up and be back to work for 6 a.m. like some nights when we record.
oh yeah, that's the worst. I remember those. I used to work in grocery too. So I used to hate that where you would like close the store, and then it's like, yeah, your next shift is 6 a.m. And it's
Yep.
like, oh man, the worst.
Closed and then open.
Yep,
Oh yeah.
yep. Uh so question for you there. You said that maybe the wife would want to see you before you start recording with Tom for ROH Revelry. And my question is the wife more important than Truth Martini? Than
Ev-
2012 Truth Martini?
everything and everyone is more important than Truth Martini. I am not a Truth Martini guy by any stretch of the imagination. Uh, I know Tom is a fan. There's I think part of it is a curiosity there because he just has like the legacy of
Mhm.
being a big trainer in the Midwest, but I think even that's kind of the where Tom's interest starts to wane is once you kind of get beyond that.
Yeah, I remember he did that show in a warehouse. I think it was like the 23rd during the 2013 season. And the way you guys were recording it, you guys were like both completely uncomfortable with it. It was
Oh
so
yeah, that was the wasn't the bachelor party, but it was some other gimmicky, goofy. I
yeah,
mean, the best part about the whole thing was Jay Lethal wrestled as Black Machismo.
nice. Nice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what the name, like what the shtick for the show was, but it was yeah, it was like a weird like house show basically. It was at like a bar.
Yeah, yeah. And there was like no commentary or something like that.
Nope, no commentary.
That's bonkers.
There's a lot of awkward stuff with Davey Richards and Truth Martini,
uh,
Cheeseburger.
yeah. Oh, so for those not familiar, who are tuning in, so besides Nattering with E, which you can find on the Visionaries Global Media. I totally shout out to those guys as always. They are great. The flagship show I would say of Visionary Global Media is Will and High Five Tom's Ring of Honor Revelry, where the duo go back to the beginning of the TV era of Ring of Honor, pre-Tony Khan, when Ring of Honor actually got the respect it deserves.
Yeah,
And
that's the unofficial official cutoff date is after the what we call the final battle.
yeah,
The one that Matt, Kate, Tom, I want to say Ant Money and maybe Danny went. Like it was like the whole crew all went.
yeah.
And that was the one where Gresham ended up wrestling Jay Lethal for the title
Oh, right at the end there. Yeah, yeah.
at the end, which I didn't love a lot. There's something in that show I didn't love. And obviously I didn't love what came after, which is why we said that's gonna be the end of the show.
Yeah.
So we got some years to go.
Yeah.
Um, I appreciate the compliments. I think Tom and I would both say that uh the staple shows be more like your band from ringsides and your view from the top rope, those longer running ones. But I mean, you could almost say Tom is the cornerstone since Tom compiles like half the shows that are actively posting on
Yeah.
Visionaries Global Media.
Yeah, it's crazy every time because we're in this group chat on Twitter about that, and every day it seems it's like, oh, got this for your inbox, got this for your inbox. It's like
And
Tom, it's
he got
Wednesday and
Revelry.
it's 25. Yeah.
He's got his Midwest Wrestling Roundup. He's got his new Lucha Underground podcast.
Hmm. And he's got the movie ones too.
Yep,
Yeah.
those come up through the. I'm trying to work on sharing more 'cause I shared something on like my personal Facebook because we don't have anything besides a Twitter account for the podcast right now
Yeah.
because I'm trying to cut back on how much I'm on socials, but it's like oh, I kind of need to be on it more. I need
Hmm.
to make these pages. I need to like maintain them. People are like, I didn't know you had one. We're interested, and it's like, all right, well, we don't have our own feed right now, so you just gotta pick Shining Wizards or Global Visionaries Global Media, and you'll find us. You'll just gotta scroll through the titles.
Yeah, I'm in that dilemma too. So I got rid of the Nattering with E Instagram page just because I found keeping up with that plus doing like just pumping out the promoting on Twitter and on my personal Natter Instagram page, I was like, the show page is way too much. So I created an email and yesterday at the show that I was at, I'm giving out these stickers to these wrestlers to see if they want to come on the pod. And they're like, yeah, do you have Instagram? And I'm like, yeah, I do. But then after I walk away, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to tell them that not for the pod. Like I have an email for the pod, but not
Like,
yeah.
you got to dabble in that because I've been poking in on Threads a little more
Yeah.
because it's one of those things where it's like Instagram is a visual format, so if you're not necessarily like you don't have like clips or something to share, it's like I don't know what I'm going to put on here, but I'm working on just getting posting on the Twitter down because I go through spurts where I'm good about doing stuff every day, and then it's been like kind of like where I'm at now, where it's like maybe once a week I throw up something. It's like, man, I'm slacking. This is supposed to be my job. Tom does all the real hard work. I'm just supposed to post funny things on the internet to get people to like interact with it, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Tom Tom mentioned before that he did like one or two episodes in the beginning on his own. So how does it go from
Yep. So there
Revelry
was
Revelry
it,
being a
it
solo
was
project to you guys? Yep.
so somebody had approached me about doing, and I said sure. I think because there's like a handful of episodes of TV before we started covering it, but they weren't like the real TV episodes.
Mhm.
So we started really with a Final Battle 2011, uh, uh, and there was a couple episodes that rounded out that year, but it's still, yeah, there was like a couple. I don't go back and listen to stuff. This is established on show. I don't go back and watch, listen. Like if I miss it, I missed it. But I think it was just kind of Tom kind of dabbling, seeing what he liked, what he doesn't like. And then I think I've only missed a couple since then. There was one where like I was sick and I didn't do it, and then there's been like if I'm away on a trip or whatever, Brendan stepped in a couple times.
Yeah, I know Ant hopped in on one episode too, which was
Yep, he was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be there for that one too, but stuff came up and I wasn't able to be on there.
yeah. We Tom and I actually have a running joke that the reason I started doing Nattering with E was because he only would let me on the pod, like the Revelry pod, one or two times. So I was like, fine, I'll just start my own podcast then. And Nattering with E's been around for almost like 14 years in different iterations. So can't really say that give him all the credit, I guess. But yeah, so how did you first get into, okay, that's kind of a stupid question, but uh comic books. What got your fascination going from like regular books into comic books as you're in we're roughly around this same age. Like I'll be 36 in a week and you're 30, I think you said.
I'm 33, so
33. Oh wow, man. Nice. Nice. Yeah.
I would pick up like trade paperbacks here and there,
Mhm.
like middle school, high school. Read a lot of manga, stuff like that. Whatever I could get from my library, mostly. Um, as far as picking up like single issue comics, it just kind of started on a whim. I was having my car worked on at a Sears, which I don't think there are any Sears left
Yeah.
anymore, but I was getting my car worked on in the mall, and I was just walking around and walked into Newberry Comics. They had like the spinner rack with some new stuff. So I grabbed a couple number ones because it's like, oh, new miniseries. So I'm like, all right, well, if it's only going to be like a small thing, it's like, why not? These look interesting. Like, I'll check these out. So it started with Plastic number one and a series called Redneck. Um, Plastic was a 6 issue miniseries. It's got a sequel series that's coming out right now, and there's been other kind of series I think that are in the same world because they're kind of referred to as like a bigger unit. I don't know if they're necessarily like interconnected where like you have like character crossover, but it's like there's a series called Vinyl, which is like paired off with Plastic. So Plastic Death and Dolls that's coming out right now is more of a direct relation to that original Plastic series. And Redneck was a very cool vampire series that hasn't had anything come out in a long time because of issues the author had like in their personal life.
Mm.
So it's not done, but I've really liked what I've read of it so far.
Yeah,
Those came
that's
out a while ago.
nice.
And
Nice.
then from there it was pretty much just like mini series like um Victor Laval, one of my favorite authors, did a mini series called Destroyers. Like I got that, and then I got his Eve series when that came out, stuff like that. I read his Sabretooth run, but in order to really get everything with the Sabretooth run, you had to be reading all these other X-Men books, and I wasn't looking to get that too far in. And it's I'm still kind of hovering in the same space where I pick up more stuff that I know isn't like a necessarily long-term commitment. Or they're
Yeah,
things where I can be like, you know what, I was really enjoying this at first, but like here's a cutoff point. I can like I love Tom King's Wonder Woman, but my interest kind of waned. Um, and I just wasn't reading because I was kind of falling behind my reading, and it wasn't like top of the list. I got to read this, so it's like, all right, this arc kind of ends here because they go into like this event. I'm gonna stop reading here, and then maybe I'll pick up a trade later, or if I hear it's getting really good again, maybe I revisit it.
yeah, that makes sense for sure. There's like I used to be into the Archie comics all the time back in the day. I hate when I talk comic books with people, they're like, you just dropped like a wealth of knowledge on so many different awesome ones. And then I'm like, yeah, I used to read the Archie comics,
Yeah,
but
people love the Archie comics.
they're great. Oh no, they're great, man. I recently discovered that in the 80s, the back like the now we suggest you read this like at the back of each comic book was like early Ninja Turtle stuff. And I, as you know, I'm obsessed with the Ninja Turtles. So as you were talking just now, I got an email from my local um comic book shop about pre-orders, and apparently there's a pre-order for something called Turtles of Grayskull. Masters of the
Crossover with He-Man, yeah.
yeah, Masters of the Universe, and I was like, oh my God, I have to get this. The problem is I know if I start doing pre-orders and shit like that, I'm gonna end up like all my money is gonna go to that. So I that's what I'm holding off on.
The big thing is if you can make sure you pick up if you do have orders going, and as long as you pick them up every week. Like initially, when I was only really subscribing to like two or three series at a time, where I'm like, oh, this is plenty. I was getting Earth Divers by Stephen Graham Jones. I was getting an Eve series, and I was picking up Do a Power Bomb. So I'm like, oh, 3 books, so many. And now I'm like, what comes out this month? What comes out again? When's this?
Yeah.
When's the schedule for this one coming out? Holy shit, this one's been delayed. This is finally out. So there was a while where I wasn't making it out for like a couple weeks. Every time I go, it's like 80 to 100 something dollars. Whereas now it's like, oh, 20 to $30 a week. It's not terrible. Again, depends on what actually comes out, what the shop gets in.
Yeah. Now, do you collect too, or do you read them, or just read?
Pretty much everything I have read.
Okay. Yeah.
There's some things where obviously if I pick up multiple covers, like Eve had had like a bunch of variant covers, and like Brittany spent a lot of money helping me to get all of them.
Mhm.
Because one of the things where I initially was like, oh, there's only like 3 or 4. That's great. But then you open the inside cover and it's like, oh, there's like 8 of them. It's like, oh, I got to track down all these like harder to find ones. And oop, instead of falling over,
Oh,
uh,
no worries.
like do a power bomb. I'm like, I'll get in on the ground floor because I'm like, this sounds really cool. It's a wrestling story. I'm gonna get in on this. And I think at the time I ordered like 8 different variants for issue number 1. I'm
Mhm.
like, this has to be all of it. That was not all of it. So Do a Powerbomb was a 6-issue series, and I have 27 covers.
Nice.
Most of them were for issue number one, and then there was an extra variant for the last or second to last issue because Image for their anniversary did a Spawn cover for all their series that had coming out. So there is a cover of Cobra Sun wrestling Spawn. Spawn's got like the lucha gear on. He's got like, the Wanda tattoo.
What issue number is that? That sounds amazing. Is that
That's want to say number 6.
Oh, okay.
One of the covers for 6, because number 1 had a bunch of different covers, and then all the other ones were like an A and a B, and then like I said, all their series got like, so it was number 7, so it was the last issue. Do a Powerbomb number 7. There's a Spawn cover because I said all of Image Comics put out Spawn covers that month for their so I'll say it was their like some anniversary for Image Comics.
Yeah, I have the first one for Do a Powerbomb. I gotta read it still. It's been sitting on my shelf for a bit, but
Yeah,
uh
you have the trade paperback, right? So you have like the collected.
yeah. Yeah. The one from Amazon where the guy is flying
Yep.
onto
So that's a actually that's the Golden Apple Comics exclusive cover that they chose for the trade paperback cover.
yeah, I gotta read that. It looks amazing though. Like I've been reading so many like James Patterson books recently and S.A. Cosby, so I gotta go from death to wrestling comics, I guess is the best way to put it. But have you read Murder Falcon?
Of course, I have.
Okay. Yeah, because
I have the hardcover special edition of Murder Falcon
oh,
because that's
oh
another one I would have got. I would have picked up individual issues of that. But that was already done by the time I started getting into comic books.
yeah,
So
because
I've got anything that's by Daniel Warren Johnson that I could possibly have. Like I didn't get a trade version of Transformers, but like I've been reading his Transformers run. Picked up Space Mullet a couple weeks ago, which is his first web comic that they put out in print for the first time. And Murder Falcon is amazing. 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10. Like that's a definitely must read. Uh his story Argent Star for Beta Ray Bill. I found a single issue from that just like on a comic book store shelf, and it was just like, yeah, cover price like $3.99 or whatever. I'm like, I gotta get this. Like I don't have any of the other ones, but it's like I don't see this just like out there for not a jacked up price.
hmm
So I gotta pick it up on principle.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like I had no idea what a Beta Ray Bill was. Like I had seen it before because I had seen like Thor covers and stuff like that, but it's like, damn, now I'm like, I really care about Beta Ray Bill because of this miniseries that Daniel Warren Johnson wrote.
Yeah, because sorry, to go back to the yeah, Beta Ray Bill's another one I gotta pick up too. But I remember on admittedly, because ROH we both love, of course, but the part that I love about the podcast is how you and Tom each week spend like a good 20 to possibly 40 minutes of the pod talking comic books or whatever you're reading. And
I'm
so
a bad influence, and I've gotten lots of other people in shilling out all their money for. I think Tom's really only reading the one series right now. I don't think Tom is not on the level of what I am. So I actually just sent him a care package. He's
nice.
been really liking The Deviant by James Tynan because he's also from Milwaukee. So Tom already is like
Yeah,
on board 100%.
yeah.
So this place was running a sale. So I got him a Deviant number 1 because he didn't have a number 1. Um, and I got him, it was one of the incentive covers that normally goes for a little more money, but it was like whatever percentage off. So I got him one of those. and I sent him the first trade paperback of Department of Truth, which you picked up the reprint of the first issue of,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's my I love Something Is Killing the Children. I don't love waiting for it because I just trade wait at this point because when I started reading it, there were already like 5 trades in. So I was just like Brittany got me like the first like handful of them. I just like binge. So now it's like I wait and all the spin-offs and everything else. And he's even got there's the anthology books are back. It's kind of like the Tales from the Crypt kind of setup.
yeah,
And there's one called Hello Darkness. And there's a Something Is Killing the Children story that's
yeah.
going to be running through this other anthology series book. But love Something Is Killing the Children. But Department of Truth, I've only read the first trade so far, but it's probably my favorite thing that Tynan's wrote.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I keep trying to find Tynan's version of Ninja Turtles versus Batman, but like you could
That's an
get
old one.
yeah, yeah, you could get volumes 2 and 3 no problem, but like volume 1 is like you just can't find it anywhere.
You'll have to track down. They did do an animated feature based on it. So
Oh yeah, the movie? Yeah, yeah. I saw it's on I think YouTube for like 3.99 Canadian, which is probably like 50 cents American because our dollar sucks,
I
but
I've got it in a DVD pack because the guy I used to work with was a big Turtles guy.
nice.
Big Turtles guy. Has the tattoo of the like the manhole cover from like the first, like where they're looking out from under the manhole. It's on the cover of like the first movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
He's got that tattoo.
Oh, amazing, amazing.
And he also loves Christmas stuff. So they put out like the leg lamp. And it kind of has the vibe from like Christmas Story.
Mm.
So I'm like, I know this is like $600. I'm like, but James, we gotta get you one of these lamps.
That's
Because this is like
awesome.
the perfect melding of your two favorite things in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
I picked up from Walmart. It's just like the total movie pack. So it's got like the 3 movies. I want to say it's got TMNT on it, the Michael Bay
oh, nice.
Ninja Turtles movie, and it had the Ninja Turtles and Batman, which tickled my fancy because I was a big fan of Scooby Doo growing up. It's like the Scooby Doo meets series where it's like Scooby Doo meets Batman and Robin, or Scooby Doo and gang meet, Don Knotts or whatever. It's like stuff's ridiculous, but I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I love Scooby-Doo
So
too.
Ninja Turtles, Batman, cool crossover. I'm talking about like now there's Ninja Turtles and He-Man. Ninja Turtles crossover with Usagi no Jimbo, which is another really cool series. I haven't read any of it yet, but I've heard it's amazing. Um, okay. Not as excited for.
Sorry, you cut off there. You cut off there.
Yeah, my mic tumbled down.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
Not as excited for Ninja Turtles crossing over with Naruto.
Yeah.
Again, I get, make that bank, right? They're gonna print money no matter who they cross stuff over with. I'm like, man, that's a little much for me.
Yeah. Did you get Ninja Turtles 1 with this Jason Aaron guy or
Yes, Jason Aaron, prolific writer, especially for his relatively recent run he did on Thor.
yeah,
He also recently did a Scrooge McDuck story.
that
But
is
I
awesome.
I went in, so I ended up subscribing because I'm like, I don't know if I really want to get into another ongoing. Uh, but there's an artist I like who's doing a series of the covers. So I'm like, all right, I'll subscribe to these and get going on these. So I do have the number one. Number two, I believe, comes out soon. And then I picked up the alpha issue, which came out earlier in the summer. It's supposed to like kind of set up for it's kind of like an issue 0
Mhm.
to kind of like get you in. And then I also just picked up a Junibaw's Night Watcher, which I don't think ties in, but is also kind of more new Turtles stuff. And they're doing the black, white, and green, which I don't know if they've got it in your shop up there, but it's another like anthology thing where it's everything's just black, white, and green. So everything is just those 3 colors.
Oh wow. I gotta check
Which
that out.
which which are fun. It's like the Harley Quinn black, white, and red is a lot of fun. They've done like Darth Vader black, white, and red. Uh, so the turtles are green, so they did black, white, and green.
Now, here's another question for you, just generally about comics, but do you own a Kindle or any of those like tablets or anything like
I
that?
have a Kindle, but I don't own anything digitally.
Because reason I ask is they have like these comic books on the actual Kindle too, and I'm
Yep.
like, I don't know if I'd want that, but I guess if you're looking at it just strictly from like a reading standpoint, I mean,
I
might
mean,
be
it's fine to read. The big thing you'd miss out on it if you have like big splash pages that go across 2 pages. You're not going to get that full experience because you're not going to have the width.
yeah, exactly. Because I have I'm just pulling up my Kindle now, but I have where are we from my library? Gideon Falls?
Get That's one of my favorites. I've got that in the two collected hardcovers. Jeff Lemire is one of my favorite, and then Andrea Sorrentino for the art is the stuff is bananas. Um, I love having it. It's kind of like having a record and having like the album artwork in front of you. Like I like having like the physical book, like so I can like lean in, like really look at everything. But also, if you're on a reader, there's so much stuff that you could probably just like zoom in on
Yeah.
and like really like go through. Love that series.
Yeah, this claims that I read it, but I don't remember reading it. But I'm gonna check it out today actually, because I'm trying to keep reading every day. Like you guys have inspired me both on podcasting and on reading. So I'm like, maybe I'll start a series on the Kindle or something like that. I don't know. But going back to Murder Falcon, so the the reason I was just blankly like, "Oh, have you read Murder Falcon?" is I remember like, do you ever get where something's in your brain, but you're like, I can't remember where I could place this from? So that was totally Murder Falcon for me. I was like, how do I know this? Probably, I was like, probably Will, but possibly Bauerhausen, because I go to you guys both for music, so I figured why not for reading. But yeah, that's another one I'm gonna track down. So before we get out of here, let's talk Cape Crusader on Amazon Prime. Were you just like was your jaw on the floor the entire time? Because that series ruled. Like it was an easy 10 episodes to watch, and I can't wait for like the next season. So
Pretty much. So I was hopeful with the style because I'm a big fan of the animation medium, and like we've been watching Studio Ghibli movies at night, and to see like these things that they were drawing and animating like the end of the '90s or end of the '80s, and then you get into more of your Batman stuff, which kind of like early to mid '90s, like just the stuff they did with like pen and paper basically. It's like so much above what they do. Well, you see a lot of it now. Like there's X-Men '97, which they kind of did in like the same style, but you can tell it's computer generated. Like it's not like hand drawn, hand animated. They did they did it digitally to make it look like hand drawn stuff. It's not the same. So um the creative team, you had Ed Brew. I didn't realize until I was a couple episodes that Ed Brubaker, big crime, suspense thriller, comic writer, was an executive producer on that. It's like it just makes all the sense. I was hesitant because I'm such a fan. And when I think Batman, I think Kevin Conroy.
mhm.
I'm like, am I going to be able to? Because I watched some of the newer like Justice League movies or like even the Batman Doom Comes to Gotham, which I did kind of like, but I got hung up on the voice. I'm like, this isn't Kevin Conroy. This isn't the voice that I think of when I think of Batman. So that didn't even bother me. And like the first couple episodes, it's like okay, and then I feel like after the first couple episodes, just gradually like they turned up a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more, and it's like by the time you get to like when you said, "Oh, it's not working," and I have like just episode 9 and 10 left, it's like you need to watch episodes 9 and 10.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I got it working, I was like, yes, like heck yes. Oh man, but that yeah, that entire series was like I find it with the cut. I find because I've uh so you have a wife, but I have just my dog basically. So I've got my dog somehow into Batman. I know it sounds ridiculous, but like anytime I put Batman on, she actually chills and doesn't try to like mom attack me. So I put this on and she was like hooked the entire 10 episodes. And like I went to change it to Man the other day and she like was nudging me because Batman was over. And I was like, no, Ivy, we gotta do Man now. But
Yeah. I think the big thing is because there's this issue with comics as well, and you can kind of stay across all media, right? And
mm,
people are discussing it in terms of like Monday Night Raw heading to Netflix, making content more mature without just hinging on like, let's just make it like super bloody, or let's make it uh you know, let's just put a ton of cuss words in it. So Cape Crusader still felt like a mature story. Like, there wasn't anything, you had the penguin killer son in like the first episode, but it's not like they showed him get like stabbed. They didn't shoot up the case and have like just blood shoot out of it. There wasn't like any particular amount of cursing, but it's like it felt like a more grown up version of like the Batman the animated series.
yeah, absolutely. Did you listen to Batman Unburied, the podcast they did where they it it why is that not working? Oh, there we go. It essentially was sorry, my computer dropped off for a second, like it went black on my other screen. Anyways, so the Spotify had this like original series where they were talking about Batman's past and how he was against the Riddler and so forth. And they had like a pretty good cast too, like Winston Duke, Gina Rodriguez, I think they got in. Lance Reddick was Thomas Wayne.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yep, yep.
I
John.
think they might have put out some kind of book version of that. I know what you're talking about. I haven't listened to it though.
Yeah, I listened to a couple of the episodes. It's very, very heavy. Just the way that they like it embraces the dark uh nature of Batman, like the doom and gloom part of it, but like uh yeah, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. It was pretty good. What was weird was it came out in 2022 and they were like, "Yeah, we're totally doing another season." It's been 2 years. They have they did a spin-off on the Riddler, but like the second season of Batman Unburied is just like
Oh, so that's, I mean, we talked about this a little bit off podcast.
mhm.
Um, have you read Paul Dano's The Riddler?
Read it? No. Gonna write that down
Correct.
actually.
There is, it's available. I don't know if there's a paperback, but it's available hardcover. That is it's in the same universe as Matt Reeves, the Batman. And Paul Dano pretty much had full creative, like whatever you want to use, like from the movie or whatever, like let's go in on it. So that was a really great visually great book. Uh, we had the Batman obviously, which I dragged my feet forever watching because I was bitter that we didn't get a Batman Beyond movie.
Yeah.
That's what I really wanted because they announced Robert Pattinson for something Batman related and Michael Keaton, and then Michael Keaton wound up being in the Flash. But I was really hoping to get like that Batman Beyond, like, oh, we're gonna get old Bruce Wayne, like the new Terry McGinnis is gonna be Batman. Like, I'm not mad about the casting. Like, this would be great. Like, it would be kind of reminiscent of how like Kevin Conroy was still the voice of old Bruce Wayne, and they brought in the other guy to be Terry McGinnis. Like, I'm all in. Then it's like, oh, it's just like another Batman, not quite an origin story, but still just another like. But I loved it. It was so good, and I'm very excited for the Penguin series that's going to be coming out soon.
Is that with Colin Farrell?
Colin Farrell was the Penguin in that, yeah,
Yeah.
which I didn't realize when I watched it. It's one of those things where I was reading up on the cast after. It's like Colin Farrell was in this movie. Who the hell was Colin? I'm like, he was the Penguin?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I think it was like a month or I want to, God, like you and I and Tom and Bauerhaus, for me anyways, I talk to you guys like basically every day. So I can't remember if it was like yesterday or if it was like a month ago, but when I did my I sent you the message about my Batman's ranked, and I had like Pattinson down near the bottom, and you were like, no, this list is wrong. This is just this is just too wrong.
I mean,
So
it's all subjective. Like for me, Kevin Conroy is always going to be the number one Batman because
yeah.
he was also the Batman in the majority of the material that I had seen. Like I just saw Michael Keaton's Batman movie for the first time this past year.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
I I had seen like bits and pieces of it the first time I sat down. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this movie.
Nice.
I had a VHS tape of the Batman. I think it's called Batman Returns that has Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer
Oh yeah, yeah,
as Penguin, Catwoman, respectively.
yeah.
Don't get too excited for Danny DeVito and the black get up guys. That was Michelle Pfeiffer. Um, so like, I'd seen that, but like I hadn't seen like the original movie. And like I'd obviously seen like one of my first theater experiences I remember was a drive-in theater seeing Batman Forever.
Oh, nice.
I think Forever, the one with Jim Carrey and I
George
think for
Clooney was Batman in that
yeah, I
one.
think Batman. My thought is Batman Forever is a sequel that has Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman in it.
Yeah,
But whatever the title subtitle was for the Batman with Jim Carrey, Tommy Lee Jones, drive-in movie theater. That's one of my first movie theater memories.
yeah,
I watched
Batman
that.
Forever. Yeah.
I watched that a lot. Watched it a lot because that's what was available at the time.
Oh, that was the
I
Val Kilmer Batman, with Jim Carrey.
oh was it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's right, because Clooney was in the sequel. Clooney
Clooney was
was
in. Yeah, yeah.
um but for me, Conroy's always number one because when I think Batman, I think Batman the animated series. And if I read Batman, I read it with his voice still.
Yeah.
At the time, Christian Bale, was great. In
Mhm.
hindsight, I don't love. I think the movies are still good. I think it's really interesting to hear some takes like on comic book couples counseling. They had Christian Ward on to talk about his series Batman City of Madness. And he also did an episode on their Patreon where they went over a book by Grant Morrison called Arkham: A Serious House on Serious Hill, or A Serious House on a Serious Earth, or something like that. Like it's crazy to look at like when that was published and be like that they like let people publish that. I'm like this is crazy. Like this would be like borderline unhinged now, let alone back in the 80s when this came out.
Yeah.
And like
Nice.
he's a big Two-Face guy, and in his story and in uh the Serious House story, Two-Face is a very important character. So
Mhm.
he didn't love the Two-Face treatment that we saw in the Christian Bale movies. He also didn't necessarily love what they did with Bane. I don't really love what they did with Bane either. Because Bane's one of my favorite from the comics, one of my favorite villains.
Yeah.
Uh,
I love his voice though. Like the way Tom Hardy did his voice is fantastic.
See, I
So
didn't love how Tom Hardy did his voice, but I love how in the Harley Quinn animated series they kind of riff on that.
yeah.
And I love that series. I started watching Kite Man and it just wasn't hitting for me. But the Harley Quinn series, I mean, even that's kind of tapered off a little bit.
Mhm.
Like the first couple seasons were like really good. Now it's just kind of like, all right, they are like, we got to keep coming up with ideas to have a reason to keep making this. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. So, not to keep you for like the next like 3 weeks, because the way that we talk comic books and music, we could be here for literally 3 weeks, like world's longest podcast. So where can the fine people of the internet find you, Mr. Will?
they can find me on all social medias. I mean, it's all my name. Same thing. I'm pretty sure my Twitter handle is the same thing as my Epic Games account. So if you want to find me on Fortnite, you can look up that name too. So at W Mercier Jr. And I also do, for the most part, man, the at ROH Revelry Twitter account. Uh, Same thing for Instagram, which is my favorite thing. So if you look up, I'm at Mercier William, but if you look up Will Mercier, uh, you'll find me. There's a lot of posts about wrestling stuff and comic books and cats.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Well, nice
So,
to,
but I will say, I know you're trying not to keep, but I hit a button. Uh, we didn't really touch on scissor fight at all.
no, no.
So scissor fight, I would say the biggest thing from New Hampshire. So in the hierarchy, it's scissor fight, Brian Malonis, and then Will Mercier.
And then Matt Taven.
And Derry, New Hampshire's own Matt Tape.
Yeah.
Um,
Scissor Fight is the greatest band of all time. Uh,
it's so niche, right? You watch the thing I sent you where they were like an MTV artist you ought to know.
yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And
I
like
took a friend to see them and she messaged her dad and he's like, I feel like I saw them on MTV once. And I send him the clip. I'm like, you did see him on MTV once.
that's awesome. And Lamb of God, which is fantastic
Yeah.
metal band. Every time they
They
go,
shout him out. Mass in New Hampshire, they shout out Scissor Fight every show.
yeah, because they know the truth. Scissor Fight are the best. It's funny actually. I've been trying to get Will to come on the pod for I want to say since I started this over a year, and Scissor Fight is what I wanted to talk about. And then Will, thank you for reminding me today because I almost skipped our beloved Scissor Fight. But yeah, they're amazing.
It's an experience. I would say check out the music. The music may or may not be everybody's cup of tea. The
Mhm.
music in studio recordings isn't necessarily all of it my cup of tea. I don't just sit around listening to it all, but then go to YouTube and look up Scissor Fight full set and watch like a full Scissor Fight concert. And it's like you got to be there. Like you got to be in the room when he's smashing beer cans on a helmet with antlers attached to it.
Yeah,
Like you got to be there when they're swinging around like a scarecrow and people are like ripping it apart. You got to be in the room when they play Drink, Fight, and Fuck by G.G. Allen to close out the night when they turn all the lights back on. It's like, we got to go. They're like, we're at the Shaskeen. We can play a couple more songs.
amazing. That now I got to go to New Hampshire, not just to visit you, but also to go see Scissor Fight.
You have to. I'm hoping they've got a gig coming up in October at a Stone Church in Newmarket. I really hope my schedule pans out that I can go. But
You're-
Scissor Fight at the Shaskeen is like the go-to place. I haven't been to the press room in Portsmouth, but they've been playing a lot there too with like some other really cool bands. So
That's
they're
all.
one of the things where I went for the first time because I'm like, oh, people like get hyped up for the Scissor Fight band. Like it always sells out. I'm like, I'm gonna go. And then I went and I'm like, this is the most American made music thing that just screams that this is made in the States. Like I've never felt more patriotic in my whole life
Yeah.
than when I was at the Scissor Fight show watching, him dumping a bottle of like whatever ibuprofen or whatever is all over the stage when they're playing Acid for Blood or they're say he comes out with the motorcycle helmet with the antlers attached and he's just like crushing beers on the set. And I'm like, where am I? Like what
That's awesome. That's
it is an experience. That's what even if the music's not your bag, it's like if you can go, if you can catch a show, catch the show. Because that's where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll leave it there. As always, you can find me at Nattering With E on the podcast world, and you can also find me at Eric Freeds on Twitter. We also have an email for the podcast, natteringwithe@gmail.com. That's probably the best place to reach us if you want to join the pod. We also have the Kuiper Music Group on Discord. You can join us. We talk music, we talk movies, we talk basically everything, but music is our focus there. So feel free to join us. We're always looking to know our big questions there are what's your favorite color? What's your favorite genre of music? And what's your name? Um, in that order, I would say. But your name is important, but not as important as your favorite color.
It
And
doesn't matter what your name is.
that's right. That's right. Well, a pleasure, my friend. And we'll see you soon.
See you soon.